Hello everybody, Son Rich here with the 2025 vinyl tag. Against my better judgment, I'm gonna do this. But before I get started, I'm gonna dedicate this video to the guitar player from Limp Wrist. I heard it through the grapevine. He watches my videos. Very cool. I got notes for this, because there's things I don't want to forget. There's a list of names I don't want to leave somebody off. Pretty Green Vinyl guy did this vinyl tag, and he did it on, he uploaded it on December 3rd. And I thought, yeah, that's cool. I'm going to do this, you know. I always say I'm not going to do it next year, but I always do. So I pulled the records that day, that evening, and I thought, tomorrow morning, which was December 4th, you know, I'm going to do the video and upload it. Well, I got up, and Norman Maslow beat me to the punch. He not only uploaded the video, or his reply, he named it the official Vinyl Tag 2025. Now, my first reaction to that was, come on, man. There's nothing official about any of this shit. You know, we're just having fun here. At least I am. I know some channels are branding themselves and selling merchandise and whatnot. But then I noticed Mazzy had like a little TM, like a trademark. So he was just having a little fun. It was a joke. But I noticed he removed that from the title. So I don't know, maybe he's feeling a little guilty. I don't think he's feeling guilty, but whatever. So I'm doing this on the 14th of December, but I'm going to upload it on New Year's, like it has been the last 7 years, I believe. Now, the first VC videos were uploaded, I believe, in June of 2016. So it was the summer of 2016. And there were others that followed throughout the whole year through November and December. And these were done by non-VC member channels. And it was mostly females doing these. You know, channels that they do makeup videos and they do other, you know, things happening in their life. And one gal did the vinyl tag. She didn't number it or anything. She just called it the vinyl tag. And a lot of people jumped on it. Well, the following year in February, I think it was like February 5th, maybe, is when I saw the first one. And VC members started doing it. And they entitled it 2017 Vinyl Tag. Though it was the same questions as the 2016 one. And a lot of people responded to that tag. And a lot of them no longer make videos. But I was surprised at how many still do. And I have a little list here. People that are still in the VC that did the 2017 vinyl tag were me, Mr. Mayo, Vinyl Potato, Riverbend Record, Tim Allen. He doesn't do many videos anymore. Beetle Vinyl 85, John Bellamy, another fat bearded man talking about records, Jorgen S., Harmless Rebel, Naz Nomad, Mr. Eli Records, Beetleman 69, Kraken Vinyl. I like that guy. I don't know if he's still making videos. Bays, I guess he is, but maybe I'm unsubbed for some reason. And Bays DJ Unking, or something like that. He's one of them foreigner guys. Okay. So, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to upload it probably New Year's, but I might get itchy and upload it before then, you know. And I really don't have an issue with doing the vinyl tag on December 3rd. Who cares, you know? But it can be a little problematic. And I'll get into that on one of the questions. Now, the very first question is your best purchase of 2025. Now, I think this one, the West Coast Pop Art Experimental Band Volume 2, now that's a mouthful, might be my favorite. But I got two here that I think are harder to come by, so I'm going to say they're my best. And this first one is the Orient Express on Mainstream Records. It's hard to find Mainstream records, unless it's the Amboy Dukes or the Big Brother and the Holding Company. But this is really good. It's kind of Middle Eastern meets Western pop. And my next one is Club Ska 67, which is a ska compilation from 1967. Pretty self-explanatory, though I had trouble figuring that out on my last video. Okay, the next question is the best album, is it? 50 years later, best album from 1974. Well, that was easy. I just had to go look at my Best of 1974 video, and this was the best album of 1974, King Crimson, Red. Now, if you ask me what's my favorite, it's Taking Tiger Mountain by Strategy by Brian Eno. This is my favorite album from 1974. And this is where the whole thing gets problematic, doing the tag early. Because if it's a 2025 tag, shouldn't you be asking to show your favorite album 50 years ago in 1975? Because the last question on the 2024 tag was show your favorite album from 1974. And I showed this very album. So here I am showing it again for the same question. Man, but none of that makes sense and everybody's getting confused. But anyways, I think the best album for 1975 is Horses by Patti Smith. This was a very transformative album for me. It changed my direction and music taste, put it that way. This, probably Meet the Beatles was number 1. This might be number 2. Okay. Show an album that defines a genre. Now, I don't think an album necessarily has to be the first of that genre to be an album that defines it. I think there can be many albums that define a genre. And I think this album defines goth probably more than any other album, to be quite honest. It's Christian Death, Only Theater of Pain, the artwork, the photographs on the back. It's just a great album. Very guitar heavy with Roz Williams. And I mean Rick Agnew, Roz Williams with his very distinctive vocals. Just a fantastic album. Now, an album cover that defines a genre. This came to my mind. Martin Denny with Primitiva. I think it might not be the first Exotica album, but that album cover defines Exotica to me. And that's why I prefer brunettes, this album cover. Actually, it was Dr. No. Okay. Your favorite band? Let's see how he the best band from your home country. Well, I'm going to narrow it down to city. I lived in Bakersfield until 1976, and then I moved to the Los Angeles area to go to school. And I ended up staying there for 44 years. I have since moved back. I moved back in 2020. So I spent more time in LA than Bakersfield. But I was born here. So I'm going to show one from Bakersfield and LA. And I think without a doubt, Buck Owens and the Buckaroos are the best band come out of Bakersfield. It takes people like you to make people like me. How well spoken. I love Buck. And not only the best band from LA, I think this is the greatest U.S. band, period. And it's the Byrds. And this is their first album, Mr. Tambourine Man. Now the next one is an artist you dearly miss. Now, Bowie and John Lennon came to my mind first. Now, if you're going to ask me, if you take into account the way they died, it would have to be John Lennon. I mean, he was murdered. I mean, it's horrible. But thinking about it, I'm going to think about just the music. And when Bowie died, even though people say his last album is so great, it's basically kind of rehashing stuff he had did maybe in the late 70s. I didn't miss Bowie's for his music or John Lennon. By the time they both died, I was already done with both of them. So I'm going to go with, I got two here. I'm going to go with Darby Crash from the Germs. He committed suicide, and the Germs only released the one album. This EP was released shortly after he passed. But yeah. And I think he committed suicide. It was either the day or the day after John Lennon was murdered. So it didn't get much press. Didn't get any press, actually. But nobody knew who Darby Crash was. So I kind of miss him because I wonder, what would he have done? And the next artist is a newer artist, and it's Amy Winehouse. And I think she only had, 2 or 3 albums? And this is Back to Black, which is a pretty sad sack album. But I really like Amy Winehouse, and I wish she was still with us, though not how she was in those final days. Because I think she would have had some great music still in her. But man, if you watch some of the videos of her last tour, she couldn't even sing. She didn't even remember the vocals. And it was a backup. You're basically watching the backup guys doing all the singing. It was really sad. The best live album in your collection. Well, I have a lot of good live albums, but I think by far the best is Lou Reed, Rock and Roll Animal. Just a fantastic album. Really cool gatefold. I have a CD, or I had it, I got rid of most of my CDs, that had the complete concert. And it's not as good as this. This is good because it's one disc, very concise. There's not a weak spot in the whole thing. It's just fantastic. And the way it starts with Heroin and those 2 guitar players, man. Dick Wagner and Steve Hunter on guitar. It's fantastic. People that don't like Lou Reed would be blown away. No, it's Sweet Jane by this version of Sweet Jane. It's fantastic. Okay, your partner just dumped you. What album are you putting on? Well, I've been divorced, and this is the album that I was constantly playing after my divorce. And it was Black Flag. First song on side 1 is Rise Above. Rise above, I'm gonna rise above. And then the first song on Depression. Depression's gonna kill me. So that's my answer. The best sounding drums on an album. I'm going with Big Black and Roland. Roland never missed a beat. And the way they mic'd the drum set on this album is just spectacular. Your favorite artist who is a member of 2 or more bands. Now, I see a lot of people picking artists, and they, like Eric Clapton, he was in Blind Faith. They did one album. It's a one-off. He was with John Mayall. They did one album. He was with Derek and the Donovans. They did one album. So I'm not picking anybody like that. But I think someone that played a crucial part in 2 very big bands, I'm going to go with Ron Wood, the guitar player for the Faces. Even though it's called Small Faces. In England, it was Faces, but here in the U.S., they thought people would be more familiar with the Small Faces name. But here's Ron Wood. the guitar player for Faces. And which one is he? Oh, there he is, that big old nose right there. And then, when the Faces broke up, he joined the Rolling Stones. And that's him right there. The Rolling Stones. And he's still in the Rolling Stones. So he was in the Faces the whole lifespan of the Faces. And he's been in the Rolling Stones since the mid-70s. So I'm picking Ron Wood. Beatles or Stones? I'm going to say Beatles and Stones. I mean, why do I got to pick one or the other? You got the Beatles. This is their album Help. Maybe the first album. People always say, from Rubber Soul on, they were just, I would say from Help on. With the exception of Dizzy Miss Lizzy that ends side 2. Everything else is kind of like stepping forward into a new direction, It's really good. The song Help, You Gotta Hide Your Love Away, 2 great John songs. And then you got I've Just Seen a Face and Yesterday, I believe 2 Paul songs. I think studio album-wise, the Beatles take the cake. They kind of pushed the direction of popular music in the 60s. I would say them and Bob Dylan. But you also got the Rolling Stones, man. And with this album here, Got Live If You Want It, it's got to be the mono. Don't get the stereo of this, it's horrible. But the mono version of this is the very first punk album ever. So you got to give the Rolling Stones credit for that, You found a bag of weed. What are you going to listen to? Well, one album I listened to one summer, all summer long, was this Bob Marley and the Wailers, Rastaman Vibrations. It's the first Bob Marley album I ever heard, and I smoked a lot of weed listening to this thing that summer. In fact, wow, there's still some seeds in there. But yeah, fantastic album. Now, an album I just listened to yesterday, and I picked these records like a couple of weeks ago. I go, man, I'm going to include this. And it's the Acid Mother's Temple and the Melting Passario UFO. That's a mouthful. This album, man, is a trip. It gets kind of like that German rock where they get into that groove, but then it's got some blazing guitars. It's just a psychedelic trip, man. And yeah, this is a good album to smoke some weed to. Though, I think it was said by Harry's Music Room, if you want to improve the sound of your stereo, smoke some weed. And it's, well, that's all I'm going to say. An album from the 80s you still listen to. Well, I listen to a lot of 80s bands. But though most of them weren't really radio bands, maybe with the exception of REM and the Smiths. I mean, there are others, but most of the bands that I listen to from the 80s are bands kind of like this. Butthole Surfers. You got Pill, you got Red Cross. I mean, there's a bunch, but I'm showing Butthole Surfers. Their first album. This cover, man. Just, what the hell is that, All it says is Butthole Surfers on the back, Butthole Surfers on the front. I go, I have to hear what that sounds like. But I know a lot of people, they say punk rock died in 78. I think punk rock from the 80s is actually better than punk rock from the 70s. All right, one page down and one to go. An artist whose political stance has soured on you. I would say all of them. Nobody cares. I don't care what side you're on. Nobody cares. I mean, if you want to write a political ditty or whatever song, I don't care. But don't stand there and act like you're a better person than me because you're telling me who to vote for, and I'm thinking I might vote for the other person. You know, don't tell us who you think you should vote for. Nobody cares. Nobody. On both sides of the aisle. Show a favorite record label. I'm going with the Uni label, man. That is so fantastic. And then with this sleeve, it's kind of unfortunate it has a 79-cent price sticker there. But that is such a great graphic design. What a fantastic label, man. A run of 3 great singles. I'm going to do a run of 3 great singles and albums. And I'm going to go with the albums first. You got the Rolling Stones, their Satanic Majesty's Request. A fantastic album. With the exception of the last song, On With The Show. It's like 3 minutes and 40 seconds, yeah. They should have replaced that with We Love You. The anthem that they did. I think John and Paul are sing background on that. That would have been a fabulous way to end this album. And it could have been the best psychedelic album ever, maybe, if they would have done that, you know? And even the song Dandelion would have fit on there. That was followed by Beggar's Banquet by the Rolling Stones. I think their best album. Fantastic. And then that was followed by Let It Bleed, another fantastic album. This is an album in transition. It's got Brian Jones on it. It's got Mick Taylor on it. But it just... they were in transition, but they didn't have a down season. You know? Kind of like the New England Patriots. Well, until Brady left. Okay. A record store day purchase that you actually consistently listen to. Well, I listen to a lot of record store day purchases. In fact, I tend to pull them out more than I do some of the band's regular albums. I'll listen to the record store day one. And an example of that is Poppies. This is a comp, kind of a psychedelic comp from Vanguard Records. They had some really good bands back then, late 60s. This was put out by Kraft. Just a fantastic comp. And there's a lot of bands too, but I thought I would show this one, The Open Mind. Just a fantastic psych record from the 60s. And you got these guys crawling out of the mind. Okay, you can be reincarnated as any artist, dead or alive. Who's it going to be? Now, there have been some strange answers to this. I mean, some have said John Lennon. Who would want to be reincarnated as somebody that gets murdered? Some people have said Syd Barrett. Who would want to be reincarnated with somebody that ended up with schizophrenia? And then one person said Steve Marriott. Who would want to be reincarnated as somebody that burned to death? Holy mackerel. Far and away, the person I would love to be reincarnated as is Ringo Starr. I think Ringo, he kind of has the same attitude, I think, on life and as I do. He seems like a pretty funny guy, pretty unassuming dude. I don't think his ego is too big. And he is the most on-time drummer in recorded pop history. Proven by a computer, I believe, at one of those prestigious colleges in the East. But yeah, I like Ringo, man. I go with Ringo that. I mean, he wasn't the most talented guy in the Beatles. Musician-wise, ship-wise, he might have been, though. His drumming is spectacular. I mean, Paul's a good musician too, though. I'll give Paul that. But I'm going with Ringo because I just love his attitude, man. And, you know, going out like this, hey, peace, everybody, you know, that's not all bad. Best 3 lines in a song. Well, I got a few here. Oh, I forgot to show my 3 singles in a row. Oh, well. Yo, 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 baby pop. Yeah, you can't come. Yeah, you come here and give me a. Oh, my God. Yo, 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 baby pop. Yeah, you come here, give me a kiss. Better make it fast, or else I'm gonna get pissed. Yeah, man, from Push It. Another one. Well, Mama had twin babies one sweet summer day. She beat one in the head, and I'm the one that got away. Called the Wig Hat by the Cramps. And a third one. Don't push me, 'cause I'm close to the edge. I'm trying not to lose my head. It's like a jungle sometimes. It makes me wonder how I keep from going under. Yeah. And I'm going to show a book here. It was given to me by Arthur Proser. And it's the Red Cross, Now You're One of Us. And I'm going to read a line from this. Long-haired friends of Jesus in a Chartreuse microbus. Come on, lose your mind. Now you're one of us. Oh, Red Cross. That was great, man. That might be the best of the bunch. Although that called the Wig Hat, man, that's pretty good. You can't beat that, really. And I'm going to show the 3 singles. Great run of 3 singles in a row. You got Black Flag with Nervous Breakdown. You got Black Flag with Six Pack. I mean, these songs were unlike anything else, really, at the time. Then you got them doing Louie Louie. Maybe the best version of Louie Louie ever. And then you got the Spectacular TV Party. We're going to have a TV party tonight. All right. Okay, I think I'm almost done here, huh? An album you never tire of. I'm going to go with the Beatles' White Album. This is my favorite Beatles album. It's got flaws, but so what? I don't care. That doesn't bother me. In fact, for me, that's part of the enjoyment now. I never tire of listening to this album. And on this box set, it came with the demos. The Escher demos. Just a fantastic box set and a fantastic. It's I think the Beatles' best album. Now, share your favorite VC channel. Well, I'm not going to do that, but I am going to call out Martin Jones to do this tag. But instead of calling out your favorite VC channel, I added a question. What are you thankful for in the vinyl community? Well, I'm thankful that rich white dudes are spending their money on jazz. And I'd like to thank Sean for that question. Anyways, take care, everybody. All you rich dudes, keep buying jazz records, you know? Take care.